people were even questioning, like, I mean, JiaQi's good enough that, like, if BLG wanted a new jungler, you should put JiaQi on BLG. And that would, because he would have the stability that you want, but also the 1v9 carry potential as well. I mean, JiaQi has had some astounding performances in 2025 and years past, but now he finds himself on FPX, and while this, for many other junglers, this would have been a condemning position to be in, JiaQi is giving it his all just to lift his team up with him and give them the best shot possible in the playoffs.
And so, let's see what the drafts are going to be for this final game. We have got a lot of the top tier of champions taken away from us through the bans that we're seeing right now and through the Fearless format as well. Specifically, I'm thinking about the jungle right now. In terms of junglers that are quite popular, Poppy is kind of the only remaining one that we actually have got on the board here.
This might be an early call to make, but with so many skirmisher junglers potentially being threatened off the board here, JiaQi has a mean Lilia. One of the funnest moments that I saw IG JiaQi make was the turnaround against top esports in playoffs, game 2, stealing the Elder Dragon away. Unfortunately, it didn't end in a game win, but JiaQi was one of the single threats on an IG that had yet to realize the potential that they are currently living in right now here at the end of Split 3. 369, locking in the Rise for Creme.
Rise has been a champion that we've seen a little bit more recently. It's real good on those map rotations as well, something that we really want to see, and Creme can also begin to bully out onto Care depending on what the matchup is. FPX looking up towards the top side of the map right now, trying to get Sheer locked into a decent matchup. You can just take the Renekton at this point because the Ambessa's already off of the board.
Bloxxer, they have an AD solo laner set up on top side. Care has an incredible Yone.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe the dream's dead. All right, well, you know what? Fine. JiaQi goes for Xin. Probably the best skirmishing jungler left in this Fearless series since Vi, Jarvan, Trundle, and Pantheon all gone here.
Yeah, it was pretty much the only remaining champion that we've been seeing a lot of recently that you would have expected to get picked up right here. And so what will this final lock-in right now be when it comes to the jungle pick? TES hovering. Wow. Okay, I'm very surprised that we're going to see this one locked in right away. Yeah, as soon as you see that one, it's either going to be the Nico or it's going to be the Renata, with the Nico taken off the board. Renata always going to be locked in, and now TES, they've got a bottom lane that they actually need to care about. They need to play around early on. JackeyLove, he did not have a good time of it on Yonara in the previous game, was just pushed around constantly, was constantly getting himself killed and caught out. Needs to play this one a lot more carefully if he wants to be able to carry his team through.
An overall pivot to Kalista gives top esports a bit more priorities to start stacking up some early dragons, which, what to the credit of JiaQi, was a big strength for this entire series. Even in game 1 where they lost, they were getting a majority of the early dragons. Maybe this is going to be a pivot from Kanavi, but the Ziggs lock-in. I'm curious if this is actually for Care blinded into, or not blinded, his counterpick into Rise, or if we see this going to JiaQi.
Yeah, I mean, we could potentially see things move around a little bit. Into the Rise, I think the Ziggs is fine, but it doesn't have that same level of just completely take over the lane that you see it into something like the Azir or the Victor, where those champions just didn't get to play the game. The Rise should be okay to sit and farm. Then again, you might get pushed around decently, and with so much AD already picked up for yourselves, you can potentially just not go towards that ADC. All right on that one. We'll see what the bans are going to be. It could be potentially that TES also just don't know and just take out a couple of supports and don't worry about where this one's going to end up.
I feel like top esports are going to be forced to lock in a tank for Kanavi. They've already eliminated another skirmisher jungler that would have been at least kind of nice to operate into what FPX had for themselves. And Kanavi, other than the Monkey, is the only other jungler that has played Olaf this entire year. It did not win, but it's in his wheelhouse. They eliminated off the table. And if you think about other AD junglers, you're looking at Lee Sin, you're looking at Rek'Sai. And I don't know if those are ideal options when you already are lacking Engage. Right now, top esports are playing for Disengage with their 3-man core.
Yeah, I mean, usually I'd be thinking about maybe you're going towards something like the Viego right here, but I think you're absolutely right. The lack of actual engage is going to be pretty tricky to deal with. It's going to be that Akali locked in, so this should be JiaQi right here picking himself up with the Ziggs and Care here onto the Akali. Akali into this Rise, you can get quite aggressive here. As long as you're careful about not getting caught by that Rune Prison, you can get very aggressive in this individual lane.
What is your answer as Kanavi? If 369 locks in the Aatrox, surely it has to be, I'm assuming, Sejuani at this point. Something that gives you non-committal engage so that you can fish for abilities, fish to burn, summoner spells safely. Wukong, I guess, is still up and available and at least gives Kanavi a little bit of agency and carry threat potential as well. So this is the best of both worlds. It's kind of surprising that Wukong has dropped down this far, but with the removal of Annie in every single game, I guess it makes sense. Oh, Kiana! Yes! Oh my god! I don't know if this is going to be good or bad for Top Esports, but I am so happy to be here witnessing this moment. A Kiana jungle. Is this our first one in a tier 1 region? Please say it is so. Please say it is so.
Lord. Okay.
It just might be.
This has been a big change that we've been seeing recently, right? Riot have been really trying to push, getting us a lot of different champions into the jungle. They're trying to really diversify the meta right here before we get into Worlds. And Kiana is one of those champions. You've been talking about the Sylas a lot. I feel like the Kiana's gone a little bit to the wayside. It is on. It is something that you can definitely play. I would more say it's something you could definitely play, I don't know, in your solo queue games. If this is going to be the first competitive Kiana, there's a reason for that. I'm not certain about how it's going to do. It's cool, though.
So, LCP has already played Kiana jungle. It was played by Citrus from, I believe this is DFM's jungler. It was a loss, but what I've been seeing around the world is not actually always assassin Kiana builds. There's some Sundered Sky, there's some Eclipse, there's some Bruiser builds, very similar to how Zed is kind of building, and you're just playing for ability haste and just trying to be a threat and a nuisance, because if you're able to farm up well, we'll talk more about Kiana though, because this is it, guys. What a way to end the last series for both FPX and Top Esports of the season. FunPlus Phoenix have nothing to lose. Top Esports could risk losing their first seed, and they have the faith and confidence to give Kanavi a test run on Kiana jungle. We'll see if it pays off in the end, or if it leads to FunPlus Phoenix pulling off the unthinkable. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Game 3 of our last series of the night between FunPlus Phoenix, Top Esports. Let's hit the rift.
Okay.
Here we go. And check this out, Bloxxer. Kanavi. It's not a Conquer Kiana. It's a First Strike Kiana. So, this is Assassin build Kiana come in. There's a couple of paths that you can opt in for. You can either go for Umbral Glaive. It has been buffed in price, and it gives you a little bit more of that vision control that you would want as an assassin. Yumu's also just a fine first item. Very strong spike. We'll see what Kanavi decides to opt in for this game. Oh my god, there's more than one assassin. This is gonna be awesome.
I am a big tank in the jungle fan, so I'm not as excited about this change in the meta as you are. But in this situation here, with Kanavi picking this one up, there's a reason that we had this guy as our MVP during the second split. He was so strong. He was just styling on kids. So if anybody's going to be able to make this look like a real fun champion here in the jungle, it is going to be him.
Kanavi has been one of our Zed jungle enthusiasts. He also was a member that pulled out a Talon jungle last split. Unfortunately, there was no fond memories of that Talon jungle, as it was very pitiful to watch. I think also Creme got absolutely annihilated against Thunder Talk. It was one of Satab's few star games. And we get the last time we had a Qiyana jungle was from Leon from Rare Adam in 2022. Nearly 3 years ago. This was during the time when all the assassin junglers were building Gore Drinker, and so they're playing Bruiser, not really assassin-like. So, funny how we arrived back to seemingly a similar era.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been very interesting with these changes that have come on through. Sylas, I'm still seeing a lot in both lanes and in the jungle, whereas Qiyana, at least in solo queue, it's now pretty much in the jungle more often than it is anywhere else at this point, which has been really fascinating to see. Like you said, a lot of different builds that we've been going towards recently, but I'm expecting this to be the full-blown assassin, maybe even get an opportunity in inventory too, to just fully capitalize on this.
So Qiyana has been receiving a lot of small buffs over the past couple of years, a few extra damage on her Q here, a few extra attack speed here, and the thing that pushed her over the edge was just an additional 10% attack speed on her level 1 W. So now she can clear the jungle, the first clear, relatively fast, 369. Uh-oh, flash forward for the auto, can't get in range. That's Sheer's flash gone.
Wow, that was very aggressive right there. It's actually Kanavi gonna go for this initial gank right here onto Care. Nice. You take that flash
away.
Beautiful. Get that flash out of Care immediately, and then turn around and carry on with this one. Care, he took this Akali into the Rise. You want to see him be able to get aggressive here into Creme, but so far, loses his flash already.
I appreciate that Care. Familiar with Qiyana gank setups, because if you flash a little too early, the way your Audacity, which is the E-dash combo into the Elemental Wrath, it will follow you. It's almost like a guaranteed combo, so you have to wait until the Q comes out before you flash, rather than flashing away from the E. So, but now this is an Akali without a flash. Creme can try and set up Kanavi with a flash-empowered Room Prison, and that could spell disaster for FPX.
This is also now going to be JJ spotted out right here by the bot lane of TES. They're going to be able to push this wave on through and get themselves out of dodge, so no early damage there. Kanavi now going potentially to try gank onto Sheer. Obviously fully spotted out onto this one. Should be able to walk this out.
There's the Elemental Wrath from the river for the stun, and then a little bit of extra damage from the brush, but not so much that it threatens Sheer, just a nice chunk on his health bar, and will allow 369 to try and look for a base. Sheer does get a chance to cancel it, but Kanavi is already pathing back towards the bottom side of the map. Shout out to our producer, Alk, just giving us the official stats update on what the changes were for Qiyana going into 25.16.
And it was a significant buff, and it really has just fully brought her into the place where all of a sudden... Okay, you could fully look to be getting aggressive. Speaking of, Jwei flashing over the wall to avoid the vision.
This is going to be so huge. Look at the size of this wave. 369 still has a flash, but how is he going to flash away? The wall slam connects! And that is FPX gifting first blood over to Sheer's Renekton.
There we go. This is what you wanted to see if you are FPX. Play spoiler here to TES, and Jwei heading all the way up to the top side of the map. This is one of the things you can do with JiaQi right here playing on the Ziggs. Yeah, you're going to get pushed in, but you should be able to farm from far enough away, throwing those bombs out constantly, that you can afford to leave and go in and get involved across the rest of the map. TES, they are at least going to recognize that with all the members top side, they could go and start up this Drake. It's going to be a Cloud Drake picked up by them, but FPX more proactive on the map.
To Top Esports' credit, with this JackeyLove Kalista pick, this was something that they wanted to aim for, trying to get a lot more bot priority in securing these early dragons to stack it up for themselves. Into FPX, big scaling element is going to be JiaQi's Ziggs. Care on this Akali can get a little bit more threatening the later the game goes on, but I don't mind top.
Oh!
He just destroys Care, even in the protection of that shroud.
The predict right there. Final, last little one coming on through. And he grabs himself that solo kill. That's nice to see right there from Creme. This is what Creme needs to be doing. And getting yourself that solo kill into an Akali picked into you. Now that's pretty fun. Kanavi also steals the blue buff.
He's level 6. He has the level advantage. Throws out the supreme display of talent. JJ not threatened enough to be forced on a flash. But loses the blue buff. But here comes Jwei trying to flash on in or look for the Hex Flash. Now Kanavi and the rest of Top Esports need to get out care, looking to find revenge. It's JackeyLove with the Fate's Call that pulls Hong away from danger.
Hey, Raafaa, your fear that it might be an IG making it all the way to the finals, I think is being increased as we're watching TES kind of get pushed around in the early game here by an FPX that's been struggling all year. We'll have a look back at this play. I mean, there's nothing too fancy with it until you get to the point at which it's just one last little overload. They just sniper. Actual sniper with this one. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, it's so pretty. Gorgeous. I'm very happy to see a solo kill picked up right there by Creme. But what can he do with it, right? We've been talking about people. Hang on.
Whoa, that's a lot of damage onto JiaQi's health bar. He's forced to flash away. Creme got an early blasting one off of that solo kill, stacking up with the tier. We know that Rise takes a while to scale up, but when he's ahead of the curve, oh boy, that damage can really start to pump.
Can pump so much single target damage. Grub's going to be started up. First one taken by TES. Care got a little bit of a flank.
Gotta be careful here. Is Supreme Display of Talent available for Kanavi? He's trying to line up for the wall here, but Care has already eliminated JackeyLove. Kanavi trying to play it out using the Elemental Wrath River form for the stuns, but FPX just wiped the floor against Top Esports in the river, and this will give them enough priority to get 2 grubs away from Top Esports.
Yeah, well played here from FPX again. They're just using the fact that currently their composition has a little bit more skirmishing power. JJ, though, gonna get caught. Supreme Display of Talent.
The backwards Supreme Display of Talent as Kanavi alongside Creme punish JJ for the overextension.
Goodbye to him. That's what we needed to see as well. TS now get themselves a little bit of extra gold back, and that's another kill into Creme's pocket. If you thought he was pumping the damage already, he's just going to be miserable to try to deal with. We'll have a look back at the way that this play starts. Creme pops down that ulti, but doesn't take it. Nobody wants to really get into the backline. And that kind of opens up Care to start stopping a bunch of these carries from being able to sit and hit. Makes it a little bit more uncomfortable. And Sheer, in a composition that kind of struggles a lot with a lot of true tanks. You kind of got Jwei, but it's a lot harder to get there.
That's our main build.
That's
Yumu's already online. And it's compared to bruiser items in this day and age, Bloxxer, assassin items are relatively cheaper because it has been Riot's way of trying to balance out the landscape of bruisers and skirmishers running amok. We need a way for assassins to be able to fight back, and this cheap item spike, decent acceleration from Kanavi. He hasn't picked up a kill, but he's been able to get a lot of gold off of the first strike encounters.
And in the olden days, you know, a couple years ago even, that would have been a very expensive build. You would have needed early kills to get it working, but that's not the case anymore. And like I said, first strike going to be helping get that acceleration through. Youmu's first is going to be the buy here for Kanavi. Now looking onto Care bot lane.
Has ultimate available again, but not going to pop it against Care. Does not want to risk missing it as Supreme Display of Talent. If I remember correctly, it has a fairly long cooldown, level 1. Or actually, it's just the same cooldown. It's
like a couple minutes. Yeah.
So if you waste that, that is a big window that you're missing out on, but just waiting for the right opportunity. Kanavi finds Jwei alongside Hong, but Jwei able to flash away from the hostile takeover and punts Kanavi back to where he came from.
In terms of cooldowns, you've now lost out onto 2 of those biggest ultis, and Jwei still gets away. Hong stepping up to potentially try finish that kill off, but he's not going to be able to. Just delays that reset coming through from Jwei. He is going to be forced back to base, and that does open up the Drake to TES. I'm constantly scared. Anytime I see Creme locking somebody down with that rune prison, I'm expecting him to just burst through their health bars.
Yeah, he picked up a Rod of Ages super early. Sheer might be in trouble. Has the Dominus still available.
Healing.
Powered. Ruthless Predator 369 using the World Ender for the movement speed and the healing. Just going to sustain himself off the minion wave. Both top laners end up trading their ultimates for no real net gain on either side, and the second dragon of the game goes to the hands of Top Esports.
I feel like we need to keep reminding ourselves and everybody here at home that TES have something to play for. Yes, they are playing as a top seed, they're definitely going to make it straight into the playoffs, but first seed allows you to pick your opponents. It gives you much weaker opponents in round 1 of the playoffs. You want this first seed to be locked down, and FPX are currently threatening that. Jwei wanders on through the tower, isn't going to take too much damage from that one, and walks it on out. FPX, all they can do here is play spoiler, and even taking us to a game 3 feels a bit like that.
And it's just more to prove from the side of FPX as they are continuously trying to improve themselves and get these glorified reps here in the Rumble stage so that they can be ready for the big best of 5 against, more than likely, Ninjas in Pajamas this weekend. That is going to be such an important series. There's already a lot of history between FPX as an org versus Doinby, Care versus Doinby, and if you can try and level yourself up as much as possible before that point, regardless of win or lose, that's the big goal for FPX. And if they can upset top esports, and that just gives you a bigger confidence boost going in.
Absolutely, and confidence is something it really has felt like FPX have been lacking. They've not had the best time of it so far. Now in this game, we've got ourselves a minute and a half until the next Herald is going to be up and available. 3 minutes until the Drake. And so these teams kind of just pushing through their waves, trying to assert dominance over this mid lane priority for the minute. In terms of snap engages, we've seen a couple of them come through. Haven't really watched the Realm Warp from Creme be used proactively though. That's something I'd quite like to see out of TES.
We'll see if Creme can find a window where he has stopped playing for Lang and just using the Realm Warp, as you said, to try and snowball some others. JackeyLove hasn't found an advantage for himself particularly. The lane priority has given top esports the first 2 dragons of the game, but now we're approaching the point of the game state where FPX has 1 items across the board here. They're going to be able to feel a lot more confident trying to contest top esports in these objective points. The stronger that JiaQi gets on this Ziggs, the more dangerous it's going to be for top esports, considering the fact they don't have a real tank on their side this time.
No, that is something we've been really looking at here. Lack of true tankiness is going to be quite tricky to deal with. For TES, right, you are hoping 369 gets a little bit ahead so that he can start just wrecking through people, healing up as much as possible. He's got himself that Sundered already, so that will go a ways towards keeping him healthy in and amongst these big team fights, but he's not really been able to get too far ahead. 500 gold behind Sheer right now, in fact, and without him being tanky, you are then relying on just blowing up your opponents. That's fine for Creme and Kanavi, but JackeyLove would prefer having a bit more time to sit and hit his opponents.
We're now 15 minutes into the game. Kanavi goes for the play on the Jwei, but the supreme display of talent doesn't land on the JiaQi. He flashed over it, but Jwei still in a bad position, and JackeyLove pulls the spears out and rends him to death. FPX lose out on their support, and now this Ziggs has no flash.
Yeah, this is just rough all across the board for FPX. They lose their support, they lose that bot lane tower, and now all of the priority they did have for themselves around this Herald has disappeared. Creme as well.
Trying to threaten Care right now. The Shuriken backflip does find its mark onto Creme, but Care doesn't want any of that. Creme is way too accelerated.
Yep.
I think it's near. Oh my god, 2,000 gold ahead of this guy? Yeah, this rise is massive terror that FPX have to solve.
Yeah, 369.
Still has Flash and World Ender. Not in trouble yet. Jedge is going to get pulled back in by the W. And 369 holding his ground.
Yeah, I mean, with Creme being so accelerated, he's already 6 stacks here on the Rod of Ages, right? That's super far ahead. You usually are only just, at this point, beginning to get to 2, maybe 3 if you had a decent early game. Very much accelerated right here. Also now going to grab himself that Seraphs, so extra survivability as well. You're talking about not having a lot of tankiness. Well, Creme is kind of going to be a bit of a pseudo-tank right here. As long as he's able to just keep pumping that damage out as well, they're going to be more than happy with this as TES. Up by 2,000 gold overall and 2 Drakes in inventory. Now they're going to have an Infernal Drake here to try to play around.
I'm curious if Creme can itemize something that gives him a lot of magic resistance so that he can stand up to JiaQi damage if he tries to walk in first for the rest of the team, or if he's going to go for some armor. Gets jumped on by JiaQi with a 3-talent strike, but the exhaust immediately comes out. The handshake pulls him in. JiaQi forced to pop the Crescent Guard. Here comes the Mega Inferno Bomb. Decent damage on the JackeyLove, but the Redemption heals him back up. And the Realm Warp sends them into the backline. Massive damage. Supreme Display of Talent hits all 4 members. Karen Shira running for their lives. 369 tries to get over the wall. And Kanavi is wrecking house with the Elemental Raz. Good Rune Prison, but the Keeper's Verdict from Jwei will save his team from certain death.
Yeah, they're only going to lose out right there onto JJ. It turns into a 1-for-1 overall, but that is now going to be FPX turning tail and running away. Infernal Drake going over to TES, and this is sole point for them already. 17.5 minutes in this game.
This is the dragon stacking win condition that Top Esports wanted to shift their priority to going into this Game 3, recognizing that it was a major priority and a major win con for FPX, and now, off the back of this fight, Top Esports are in a great position.
Absolutely, they are. Everybody jumps Creme, and we were just talking about it, right? Creme is pretty tanky already. Seraph's completed for him, so he's able to just survive that one with the exhaust coming on through as well. Beautiful Supreme Display of Talent, at least cuts off what could have been a good engage from Sheer, stops him from being able to play that one out. We jump back out of this replay. Herald's still available on the map. You've got a couple more members of TES towards this side. I think they're just getting complete control over these objectives.
And I'm getting flashbacks to 2019, where it wasn't Kiana in the jungle, but it was Kiana mid.
Yep.
And the power of this ultimate in small corridors like this, where there's a lot of terrain that you can just affect members.
How do you move?
Even if you are not in front when the Supreme Display of Talent's projectile path hits you, if you're near the terrain that it hits, you are in danger. You are in peril of getting blasted by a major CC cooldown. It doesn't do nearly as much damage as it used to do, but it's still a major team fighting tool that Kanavi has been absolutely exquisite with in executing so far.
Do you remember how much damage it used to do? It used to absolutely one-tap people. I mean, in terms of mid laners that got pentas, I remember that there were just way too many for a while right there. Oh, man. I'm glad they changed that, but it is still fun seeing what Kanavi can do. And it's kind of like the Pot Blossom, right? Where you get a ton of damage with it too. Yeah, it's not going to one-tap anybody, but it's the CC that it then provides as well. And it means that you can't afford to fight in a choke point. And that's kind of unfortunate, because JiaQi would love a choke point. You know, put down that minefield, make sure people are walking on through it. That helps you out. It's also nice for a champion like the Renekton as well. The Poppy too, with walls that you could be pushing people into. You can't afford to play like that.
It's almost a just direct counter to what FPX want to have as ideal setups and scenarios for them. Kanavi says, hey, I like those chances too. And with the Rift Herald slamming into the mid-tier 1, JackeyLove, I was about to say, don't drive it into that tier 2.
That's bad.
All the members from FPX were ready to receive you, buddy. Now, there's still a couple minutes and a half before Infernal Soul is up for the taking from Top Esports. They have a 4,000 gold advantage. Can FPX find a window back in this game?
If they are going to be able to do so, they've got to be finding some of these big assassinations right here out of care onto the backline and allow JiaQi enough time to just deal his damage. He has just not been able to really find those angles in the big team fights. Yeah, he's been able to absorb a couple of the kills, but it's been off of individual little bits of damage rather than that overall mega Inferno Bomb landing on top of everyone. He's going to have to step up in these team fights too. I've also been quite impressed with the way that Sheer's been playing out a lot of these fights, but he keeps getting punted away. He keeps having to turn tail and run. He's gonna really need that second item to come through to give him that extra bit of survivability to sit in these team fights a little bit longer.
Yeah, he's probably one of the only members that can try and cut through Creme's rise or even threaten Kanavi if he tries to jump in looking for that setup. And FPX are starting to run out of options to figure out how to problem solve against this jungle mid combo. Even though Kanavi hasn't necessarily picked up any kills for himself, the fact that he's stacking up all this lethality into a non-tank composition from the side of FPX outside of Jwei, your carries, your squishies are always threatened, always potentially vulnerable to just getting one-tapped by this setup from Kanavi's Qiyana.
And it puts you in just such a scary position here as FPX. Yes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything for your outcomes if you win or lose. But you're in the position to potentially win this one. And now you're just constantly having to think about where you're finding these fights, how the positioning is going. Just puts that extra level of stress right here onto an FPX that really just need to get out of their own heads sometime.
A reminder that even though Qiyana has been played in Tier 1 in the jungle twice now in 2025, it has yet to win a game. Kanavi in a great position to change that and be the first jungler to give Qiyana her first win in 2025. Teleport coming in from both teams as they arrive to contest for what could be top esports Infernal Soul.
There's the setup coming through. This is going to be a straight up 5v5. No funky flanks coming through, really. Creme on the backside of the fight.
JiaQi goes right in onto Hong, but the Fate's Call pulls him back. JackeyLove hit by the Mega Inferno Bomb. Creme now isolated in the Dragon Pit. Rest of FPX, they gotta be careful. They step in. Flash from Jwei. Do they want to commit? But this is a great angle for the Supreme Display of Talent. Gonna hit all three members. The stun is there. Jwei is slain. Karen's able to find Creme into the back line. Now it's up to Qiyana. It's up to JackeyLove to find the fight. 369 can he carry through, and he's the world ender. He's gonna look to end FPX's world right where he stands. He's now in a 1v2 against JiaQi and JJ. They're trying to kite away. The world end is starting to run out. JJ and JiaQi are just trying to kite this one and run out the ult duration, but they have run out of mana on the Ziggs. The 369 could still try to take him out. JJ steps up, looks for the talent strike, knocks him off, but JiaQi's running out of mana. The flash predicted by JiaQi as he's able to get away for the last cast of the Darkened Blade. 369 still healing. This guy is a raid boss. Can they bring him down? Another Darkened Blade.
What?
But JiaQi and JJ finally slay the demon, and FPX will stand tall.
Still, that takes so long that a couple of respawns have come on through. Hong gonna teleport himself back into this play. Creme also can teleport back in if they want to snap re-engage onto this one, because the Drake did not go down, Raafaa. We're gonna get to do this all again.
But the big thing here, Bloxxer, is which ultimates are coming back off cooldown.
Yep.
Supreme Display of Talent is the longest cooldown for the side of top esports. So you can already see that they know they can't force the fight on the dragon. They're gonna go for a... Oh, it's an Otacon. I was like, the Bear's not up for another 30 seconds, but we forgot about the Otacon because we were fighting so much over the Infernal Soul.
It's correct. It's the correct decision right here out of TES. Grab yourself this Otacon. It's going to give them a huge amount of benefit considering how much they were able to grab earlier on right here as well. And we'll have a look back at this play. And this, it's so messy. Creme tries to play this one from the back end of the fight and just immediately gets himself caught out in the pit. And at this point, you're looking at a flash rise. Can he get away? No. Instantly gets stunned up straight on into the wall. And despite the fact he even goes golden, he still gets himself taken out pretty dang early on into this fight. The hostile takeover buys so much time for TES, and it's the reason they're able to keep themselves in this one for as long as they are. 369, if he's able to find these final two kills, it's a penta right here.
The Burning Baron!
Oh, wait,
Kanavi secures it! FPX didn't even have a chance to contest them in the pit. Now Karen's trying to threaten with the... Oh my god, the Supreme Display of Talent just kills him where he stands, immediately slamming him, and Jwei tries to find one back, but JiaQi's popping people with the bombs. The rest of top esports, just preserve the Baron buff on your side. FPX able to get at least 2 kills, avenging the death of Care, but the Baron buff is still secured for top esports.
Still, you take that Baron buff away from JackeyLove and Hong. That's going to stop them from being able to push across quite so many lanes, potentially. That is going to be nice to see. 369 could potentially be caught out right here. He's got a couple extra dashes. Should be able to walk this one away. And as we come out the back of all of these crazy plays, 3 objectives going down in as many minutes, it's now going to be about a 6,000-7,000 gold lead right here for TES. Soul Point still teetering on the edge for them right now. They're in a great spot to be able to win this one out.
Top esports have to wait another 3 minutes for a chance to look for that Infernal Soul once again. And if they want to use that threat of the Infernal Soul to their advantage, if top esports can set up some side lanes to be pushed in, you have this Rise that can easily rotate with the Realm Warp while teleport is down. try and threaten, push and pull FPX across the map. Really make them suffer and feel the pressure of losing more structures just because of the threat of the Infernal Soul looming on the rise.
Absolutely. It's going to be such a tricky situation right here for FPX to be able to push on in. But, hey, they've got themselves a couple people that they can try potentially play around right now. JJ is in a decent spot in this game. 3 items, though, completed onto JiaQi. He's very strong at the moment. 7-0-2. Has been able to escape deathless so far in this game.
Trying to stay alive on this Ziggs. He had a monster performance on the Varus in Game 2, trying to step up and recreate a similar performance on this Ziggs. He has yet to be threatened by top esports members, as their ability to dive has not been consistent. They have all the CC setup, but they don't have anyone that can easily access the backline. Unfortunately for Sheer, not able to defend the tier 2 turret from falling. The last 30 seconds of the Baron buff doing work for top esports as they grab some structures around the map. Creme able to push Care around and grab another tier 2 turret.
So much gold being grabbed right here by TES. They're going to balloon their gold lead out even further. They've gained 3,000 of it just with this Baron play. Couple of seconds left onto this one. Should be unlikely to grab any more towers. And so last resets coming on through for the TES members. We'll see what final items they can grab for themselves. It is, yeah, there's going to be an opportunity in inventory. Another serrated Dirk on the way. Kanavi, he's just wrecking people right now. That ulti, so strong for him. Oh, 1 minute. 1 minute now, Raafaa, until we get that. What could be final Drake, and what could be the final fight we have in this game?
Top esports, if they win this game, they avoid the disaster scenario of either IG or BLG being able to contest them and take away that first seed spot for the end of the Rumble stage going into playoffs. FPX, if they find that upset, all hell breaks loose from the top 3 teams in the LPL. And Creme, I mean, we have, if you're a top esports fan, you have to be thanking Creme for a majority of this game. He's been able to find successful solo kills on to Care in the early laning phase. He got that early accelerated Rod of Ages stacking for himself, as well as the Seraph's Embrace. He is the one person that can consistently threat damage onto FPX because no one has really built an abundance of magic resist to deal with the Rise.
No. And he is absolutely hitting like a truck at this point in the game. JJ, okay, just not quite gonna get caught out. If he got caught right there by that handshake, he was dead, and that was gonna end this game.
Hong's got to be careful. The Fate's Call surely should be coming out. Hostile takeover by some time. Supreme display of talent right on the 3. Jwei caught into the backline, and JiaQi was stalled momentarily. The front line is evaporated. Hong doesn't even go down yet, and Kanavi throws it. He flashes the perfect execution just in time. FPX lose 4. JiaQi the last member standing. But will that be enough to stop top esports from ending the series right here, right now?
They can push on right here. The Ziggs does have plenty of wave clear, so it could be a little bit tricky still. These towers are going to melt.
Pushing through the inhibitor tower now. There's still enough time to just go for the Infernal Soul. Top esports do not have enough time to try and end the game. They won't even take out the inhibitor and give some early access, easy access to consistent gold with those super minions. They'll just secure the Infernal Soul, and this moves top esports now to a 10,000 plus gold advantage.
Yeah, and we do have teams in the LPL that could come back from those kind of deficits, but it's very unlikely to be this one. As we take a look back at this play, the supreme display of talent, I mean, it's exactly what you were asking for. 3 members just take every bit of damage, CC'd up as well. Beautiful work from Kanavi to start this fight off. And then 2 people getting away with murder. Hong flashing away for himself, keeping himself alive. Kanavi as well flashing out, keeping himself going. Not giving any extra gold back over to the FPX members. And this is just such a rough situation for them to be in. They are staring down the barrel of 10,000 gold and a Baron buff walking into their base.
Kanavi has over 45 lethality between all 4 of these items here. So any squishy member that does not have any armor set up, they are going to get popped! Supreme display of talent eliminates JJ off the rift. And now there's no chance for a smite steal unless Jwei can find some heroics swapping over to a smite. but it doesn't look like he has that option available. Oh,
Nope.
that was close. But
There they go.
Kanavi's clutch with the smite. 369, the realm warp into the middle of all five. That's a dangerous predicament, but JiaQi is slain. FPX now riding on the chances of care. The perfect execution can't even get through the bailout of Hong. Top Esports find the perfect ace, find the perfect ending to a perfect series. FPX tried their damnedest, but it's not enough to defeat the inevitable and the most dominant team in the LPL.
Top Esports, they're going to do it again. They are going to top out Group Ascend. They are going to be our 1 seed coming out of this Rumble stage. And what a performance to round that one off. Raafaa, you got to be the happiest man alive. It's a Qiyana win here in pro play.
I'm so freaking happy, man. That is so insanely cool. I'm using all my willpower to not drop F-bombs for the sake of my producer. I already did one earlier this week. I got my one. I got my one. But what an awesome way to cap off the series, the last series for these two teams.
Yeah.
FPX really stepped up and pushed Top Esports to the brink and forced them into a position where they had to pull out something yet to be tested here in the LPL. And Kanavi gets to walk away, the bearer of the first Qiyana jungle win here in 2025.
And it was an incredible performance. He would be my pick for game MVP. He was all over the rift, getting so proactive, diving a tower level 1, getting that initial flash out, and then just kind of never looked back, was just constantly playing super aggressive. It's tricky to play a champion like the Qiyana, but it just felt like FPX could never do anything. Every single fight they found, there was a wall nearby, supreme display of talent, and that's that.
And with this, Bloxxer, Top Esports officially end the Rumble stage at 12 wins and 2 losses in series score. With that updated, there is no chance that IG nor BLG can catch up and threaten Top Esports on that first seed. It is definitively Top Esports' to claim, and they will have the grandest opportunity going into playoffs and choosing any opponent that they wish.
It doesn't wrap everything up, though. That is not
Nope.
going to be everything wrapped up at this point. They can't get the 1 seed, but BLG and IG can fight over the 2 seed. It's currently BLG's to lose, but with the 2-0 for IG here today, they get themselves back into a really good spot to be able to fully compete for this one. For IG, getting that 2nd seed after their rough start would be awesome. For BLG, losing that 2nd seed after it looked like they were actually going to top our table would be really disappointing for them. And so there is still so much more to look forward to in our last couple of days here on the LPL.
Gosh, I'm still processing this series, Bloxxer.
You're so pumped. You're so
Oh
pumped.
my
That's
goodness. The sun rose 30 minutes ago. I have to sleep at some point today, but that last adrenaline rush from the moment Qiyana jungle was slammed in an angle that I didn't even think was going to be one that Top Esports were looking at, and it worked.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like, just I could depart from this earth happy. I've seen everything that I wanted to see. It's just,
That was a very good time, but it wasn't just Kanavi right here on that Qiyana popping off. You could see it reflected in the gold, you could see it in the game itself. 369 and Creme were both awesome. Creme jumps out to that early lead with that solo kill mid lane. That's gorgeous, put that one on the highlight tapes, and just never looks back. He was just wrecking people. Even in one of these team fights where he kind of missed positions, he still pumps a ton of damage first, and just stops FPX from being able to completely take over the game in the way they would have been wanting to.
yeah, the part where he got pinned at the back of the dragon pit, it's still set up for a decent counter engage by Top Esports. I think this is the fight right here, and still he is just threatening so much damage in this fight alone. The fact, if Creme was slightly positioned better, this is an easy wipe for Top Esports. We don't even see like a comeback potential. We don't see the need for Top Esports to go immediately to the top side and rush the auto. Like, yeah, everything just belongs to them at that point. This was kind of the last saving grace for FPX as the fight drew out long enough for JiaQi and JiaQi to remain the last one standing on the Rift.
Yeah, and I would very much like to highlight that JiaQi tried his darndest in this game as well. I don't love the Ziggs ADC. I'm a big fan of Ziggs when Knight plays it in the mid lane, but as the APC, sometimes it doesn't feel like you can do as much. You can't weave your way through these team fights in the same way. Still, he was putting out the damage. He was trying his best to carry his team on through, but there was just so much backline threat as well that he was constantly under. And look at these supreme display of talents right here. So much damage, so much CC. It's everything you could possibly want from a jungler if you're trying to be aggressive with it.
I was so nervous that this Qiyana performance was going to look very reminiscent to the Talon jungle performance Kanavi tried to pull off against Thundertalk in Split 2, and it just was the most useless thing I've ever seen. Thankfully, Talon is just all damage. So if you fall behind, you literally have nothing to offer, which is what happened in Top Esports' case. Even if Top Esports were, a little bit more challenged by FunPlus Phoenix, and like we said, Qiyana wasn't necessarily getting kills this game. They were all being spoon-fed into care, but he still had utility and the threat of those walls. And in the end, it is Creme that gets MVP, but you know what? It's totally okay, because we pointed out during the game that while, yes, the threat of this Qiyana ultimate is a great way to get counter engages or big teamfight initiations in these choke points where it normally would favor FPX, Creme was the reason why they had the advantage in the first place.
Exactly. He was able to do so much damage. He had so much effective health through his Seraphs as well. And the Rod of Ages was fully stacked way earlier on into the game than you would have expected. Plus, that sexy solo kill that we got to see. It was just such a good performance from him. And Top Esports, right? I mean, it's not clean. They don't manage to just easily pick themselves up that 2-0 that you would have been expecting. But still, they come out on top. They come out with this victory. And they do top out our Group Ascend.
It's not like this was against the FPX of old in Split 3 where these guys were on the struggle bus for so long. This was a much more competitive FPX, and for Top Esports to definitively close out the series 2-1, being able to bounce back from a very, very convincing upset win by FPX, it's a great way to put a cap on the end of your season, a great way for Creme to put a cap on the end of his regular season as Top Esports get ready for playoffs. As we look at the standings now, as we said before, Top Esports officially now locked in at, should be 12-2 in series wins and losses. There's no way that IG and BLG can catch up at this point. Even if they were able to win their last series, it's not going to happen. But IG and BLG still threatening for that second seed overall. And we already knew that FPX was locked in at 8th seed. They end their season 1-13. I think this team is definitely, though, a lot more competitive and should be a lot more scary for even someone like NIP, who I thought was just going to walk in and run them over. This is going to be now a full competitive best of 5 coming our way.
Exactly. I'm very, very excited for those play-ins. They're going to be such critical matchups. Yes, maybe you're looking at some of the lower down teams, the LGDs and the Ultra Primes of the world, and thinking, hey, not so sure they're going to be able to beat out onto their opponents. But if you're an NIP, if you are an EDG, there's a chance. And I think for both of these organizations, right, storied, historied organizations with some historied players on a couple of the squads here too, especially over on NIP, right, to get themselves all the way into the playoffs, even if you're a first round exit, that would be a massive achievement after what's been a pretty rough 2025 overall.
Well, I'm the EDG guy. I'm still hoping for them to go to Worlds, so I'm hoping for more than a first round exit, but I understand the sentiment. But for us here, that does conclude our broadcast here on the LPL English broadcast. It was such a fun day. The first series, quick sweep by IG, a little bit of competitiveness from WE, but this last series, it was a gift. An early Christmas present, an early holiday present, nearly, what are we, 4-5 months away from...
It's practically Christmas. She's definitely defrosting at this point.
Nice. But before we close out our broadcast, we want to give a huge thank you and shout out to our Elite Coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Mung, Forest Without, owners of Asimaril, because their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every single day. This has been one of my favorite broadcasts that we got to witness here, Bloxxer. Before we close out, any last words, any last shout outs?
Hey, massive shout out to Alk here for bringing us through on production. Had to step in at the last minute. Wanted the quick 4-0. Of course we didn't get it. There was no hope in hell that we were going to get the quick 4-0. But he's been an absolute trooper. Thank you, mate.
Thank you, Alk. And also, I'm going to give a shout out to Mazel Lennon, who was supposed to be casting tonight, but he had a change of plans, so he asked me to sub in. And at first I was like, I'm not really but you know, I'll spot you this time. And you know what, it ended up for the better, because I got to cast the Kiana jungle game, and I've been waiting for the opportunity. So thank you, Lennon, and I hope that everything goes well for you. And for everyone else at home, thank you for tuning in and supporting the English LPL broadcast as always. See you all next